Hello, and welcome. Hey, Ben. Hey, Monica, how you going? Just putting my hearing protection in. Got to protect my hearing. Morning, Bob. How are y'all doing? I normally put out a poll regarding the thing I am going to make, but today, because I didn't think ahead, and because I only got the idea yesterday, I'm going to let you guys decide what I'm going to make out of this large piece of leaf spring. Sup 9. So there are two things that I could make. A kukri or a Musso style Bowie like the one that you've seen me make before. So have your vote, have your say. Kukri or Bowie. A few votes for the kukri there. Hey Donut. Hey Billy Martin, how you going? Hey Lauk. Hey Matt. Hopefully you all didn't just abandon Ting Ting to come here. Is Curtis here? Hey Curtis. Oh, vacation. Fun. Have fun. Morning, MGC. Cut it short. Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate it, Ting. Oh, I'll have to send him a thank you. I'm doing all right. Same old, same old. Just trying to heal up from the various injuries that I keep giving myself. So I'm seeing a lot of votes for kukri. So, Curtis, I have this rather large piece of Sup 9. That I'm going to turn into a blade of some description. And I'm leaving it up to you guys as to whether I turn it into a kukri or a Musso style Bowie. Much like this one. My wedding knife, which you guys have all seen before. 5160, Curtis. Did I lose some weight? Probably not. Probably put some on, if I'm honest. You know, I've got the aim to be the world's heaviest blacksmith. It's rough being made. It's true. It is true. If only I could, you know, transpose myself to become Donut just entirely. And then again, I just eat myself. So, you know, that wouldn't solve many of my problems. But yeah, so, Bowie knife or kukri? Have your say. I would if I could, Bob, but I kind of just do it, you know, to be, you know, I don't know. I don't know why I keep doing it. I honestly don't do it on purpose. I don't even know I'm doing it. Hey, Peter. Hey, GT, Brian. Aiming for the lightest. Well, you know, there is aims. No, we got some Bowie knife votes coming in. Yeah, Lauk, I think I've got you beat, buddy. I don't think there's a Smith that I'm aware of that outweighs me. Bowie, alright. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 of the Bowie knife. And I think it's like 5. 1, 2, 3. 4. Oh, they're tied up. They're tied up. All the Aussies want a Bowie, and all the Americans wanted. Hey, Luffy, thank you for dropping in, buddy. You already voted, Peter. You don't get more than one vote. Oi. I'm going to spam the chat with Bowie, and then he's going to get banned because he, you know. Oh, IL-12. All right, well, seeing as I have to light the forge, I think Bowie Knife is going to win it because that's 5 for Bowie. That's 5 for Bowie and 4 for Cookery, so. Bowie it is. That's it. Oh, too late, Stefan. Fine, I've won. Oh, what steel am I going to use, Jack? I am going to be using spring steel. It's actually 5160 Sub 9, which is the Australian variant. 15. Well, you couldn't vote more than once, Brian. Could we? Yeah, well. Bowie Knife has won it this time around. That just means that I make a Cookery next week. So if you're interested in seeing me forge a Cookery, you can tune into next week's live stream and I will forge one then. Isn't that good? Hey, Ben. And Tunes. How you going? Don't have to apologize, Duncan. I'm about to poke you in the eye. Hey, cleaner. Clearer. 4 buggers, you have to see me clear. Fair enough. That'll be an interesting video, I'm sure. Fired up. It's going to be a bit to get up the heat, of course. Just for something different, I'm going to use my engraved hammer to start with. It's my very rusty engraved hammer now. It sits out here in the workshop for the rest. Cookery with a twist. Well, twisted blades don't tend to cut very well, so I'll be interested to see that. Yeah, Bob, you've been kind of absent from our from the sphere. YouTube sphere, that is. On other in other news. August Stefan, thanks for dropping in, buddy. So, for those of you who are interested in like buying a hammer from me, or if I'm making hammers still, I am making hammers still. My maker's mark is on on both sides. This is going to be a 3 pound. Actually, it's more like a 3.5. So yeah, this is a 3.5 pound Viking style crossbeam. I know how that feels, Bob. Absolutely know how that feels. The twist as soon as the cook really looks exactly like a Bowie. Well, yeah, no. Yeah, I know how family issues can really get to you, so hopefully everything's getting worked out. So like usual, I've moved the end. Now he's got to wait for it to get on. Glad that the weather has changed a little bit. We've come back to late winter again. It got hot for a while there, so now it's nice and cool. Makes it a lot easier on big smiths like me. Not a lot. Yeah, IL-12, I've done several videos on arrow making. I've done 2 specific ones, and I've also done, I did a vlog earlier this year that had me making arrowheads. Or was it late last year? Yeah, I've made a lot of arrowheads and small tools. Yeah, fair enough, Matt. Yeah, it doesn't help too much, donut. It helps a little bit. I suppose it's better than not having it. I'd need like 6 more in order to get it all running. All that heat out of you. Yeah. Actually, I wonder if anyone can guess what these are going to be for. What are those going to be for? I'm very excited. Yeah, earrings, that's it, mate. You got it. Oh, that sucks, Bob. That really does suck. That's never good. So she's up to 8. Actually, you did get it, Peter, for a press. For a hydraulic press. Hey, Paul. Hang on. Yes, for a 20-ton hydraulic press, which will be going like about right there. Kind of, Ben. We're building it out of a log splitter press. All good, Paul. Have a good day at work. Yeah, so we're building it out of a log splitter. But yes, gonna build a squisher, as Donut says. It's gonna save my arm in the long run. Yeah, 20 ton. I refused to go lower than 20. I actually wanted 25, but we couldn't find one in our price range, so we ended up going with the 20. Hey Rich Miller, how you going? Oh yeah, Donut, I'm so looking forward to it. I'm hoping to do a video on building it, but yeah, we're doing a Bowie, Rich. Specifically we're doing a Musso style Bowie, my favorite kind of Bowie. Well, it is kind of small. It's a 40 kilo anvil, but I am very large. This is true. Hopefully it doesn't get too warm in here. Yes, exactly like my wedding knife. Fair enough, Ben. Good old dog's heads. We'll probably see that come out today. But yes, we'll be making a Musso style Bowie knife. Much like this one. Maybe a little bigger. Who knows? Yeah, it's going to be a multi-hour for sure. Yeah, they're not specifically difficult, Bob. We'll see, Rich. I don't know yet. Not sure whether I'll leave Brute Forge for this. Brute Forge on a blade. It really does depend, Aaron. It depends on where it's going to be used and what it's going to be used for. The more curved that you have it, the more likely you are to be a sitting smith than a standing smith. In the Japanese tradition, most heads were quite angled to the handle because they sat on the floor, so therefore the anvil was quite high. So if you have a very high anvil, then you're going to want a relatively well-curved hammer. Whereas if you've got a relatively low anvil, then you want a more straight-edge hammer. For instance, I'm a standing smith using a standard pattern anvil, which is at my knuckle height, like most standard anvils are. So my dog's head is not very curved, as you can see. The angle between there and there isn't very significant. A lot of cutlers, a lot of people who work professionally in the bladesmithing industry in England and that kind of thing would have their anvil sit about here at the belly button, which meant that they wanted a bit higher of a bend. The more you know. As far as the face goes, you want a very, very slightly domed face. Not like a rounding hammer dome, but you want it just off flat. You want it to have a little bit of a dome. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to pick it up, but you can probably see that it's a little bit domed. This one specifically is an English cutler's hammer. It's a little bit more pronounced on standard Japanese style dog's heads, which have the larger face. But yeah, this is my English cutler's hammer, which you guys have seen me use before. I really like my English cutler's hammer. I'll be using that today. Yeah, mate, I've got my power back. My back is better, so I can use my body again. Yeah, so the crowning on the head is not quite as pronounced as you would have on a Western style hammer. This is probably a bad example because it's been munted, but you can see the heavy crown. The reason for that is because a lot of the time I'm cutting in my plunge cuts with the edge of my hammer, so I need that to be relatively sharp. Not super sharp, it still is radius, but you want a slightly sharper radius than normal. Yes, so Japanese dog's heads have a slightly wider face than English cutlass hammers. If this was a standard Japanese head, then where that cutoff is what the width of the face would be. Perhaps even wider as it came out here. So, you know, it would follow that line out to about there. So the English cutlass hammer comes back in and gives you that little bit of a narrower face, which means you've got a little bit more less surface area for impact, which means you move more material. It takes a little bit more practice to get really accurate with it, but I really like these. And I think I'm one of the only people on the planet that currently make them. Be right back, I gotta fill this up. Full. Sounds good, Monica. All good, Aaron. Let me know if the internet drops out a little bit. Our signal's okay. So the last time I pointed one of these was my wedding knife, and I actually used my striker to help me point the blade because it was a lot of work. Just for you guys, I'm going to do this solo. Just for reference, just so you know what I'm working with, it is 8.5 mil thick by 61 mil wide. So that's what's that in inches? A third of an inch by 2.5. So 0.3 of an inch by 2.5 inches. So, as far as which is better for forging bevels, realistically they're both similar. A lot of it comes down to the size of the hammer you're using, but it's also personal preference. Like, I like using the English cutler's hammer purely because it gives me a slightly smaller impact area, which means that I'm moving more material in a smaller period. And it means I can have a big weight behind a small face, whereas if you have a small weight behind a big face, you're not moving as much material. But realistically, they're exactly the same kind of process. It's just a slightly different face size. I also like that it's part of my British heritage. It's part of the heritage of the Sheffield cutlers. Yeah, 5160. Got to keep the crowds happy. So yeah, I'm not aware of anyone else who makes English cutler's hammers at this stage. I'm not sure why. There's quite a few people out there who make dog's head hammers, but I like being unique. Warming up in here. Hey, San Miguel. No, that's 5160, Curtis. Yeah, Brian, tongs can be a little bit difficult, for sure. That point in. They're not more difficult. Like us, thanks for dropping in, buddy. They're not. The English cutler's hammers aren't necessarily more difficult. They just require that extra step. With a Japanese hammer, once you punch the arc, you basically have the hammer. There's not a lot of forming that goes into it. You can make a dog's head hammer just punching an eye in the back and leaving the rest of it grinding a face on it. Whereas with the English cutler's hammer, you need to forge this nose in, or you can grind it in, I suppose, but why bother? So yeah, there is a little bit of technique in making sure that you get a flat bottom and that nose coming down and coming in from the sides without having an even taper. There is a little bit of a trick to it, but yeah, I like it. I like English cutler's hammer. It's my favorite hammer. Oh, that sucks, Brian. Yeah, a lot of it comes down to learning the preform. If you can get a good tongue preform, then you'll be set. One of the things I did to practice my tong making was I made a lot of one heat tong blanks. And that just made me practice my angles and stuff like that. If I can find a suitable piece of metal, I'll show you. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the size of stock that you're going to use tong. It's just a mil or half-inch square that I'll do a one heat tong blank with. Very close to a point now. Hey, Speaker Us. Well, have a good day with the missus, mate. Yeah, dog heads are worth giving a shot. Yes, indeed. Got the white ninja out today. Hey, Rob. I'm not sure what you're talking to about there, Rob. Hey, Rennie, how you going? Alright, so one top blank. So there you go, that's a one heat tong blank. So I've got my offset. They meet in the middle, which is good. This side, that side. And it's about half thickness in the tong bit. So that's a pretty decent one heat tong blank. And that's all it takes. point, nice fine point on the end of our bar, ready to create the Bowie knife. More than 11-inch blade out of this. See you, Adam. Sorry, mate, if I missed you. Hey, Fox Run Village, how you going? Depends on what you mean by weird knife laws, Ben. We have some interesting ones. Welcome back. We certainly have some interesting knife laws. So basically you're not allowed to carry a knife in public at all unless you have a reasonable reason for carrying it. And that reasonable reason is up to the police officer that stopped you. Hey Monkey, how you going, mate? So, trade over to my beloved English cutler's hammer. Start the bevels. Now, with big blades like this, you can do it a few ways. I'm going to have a ricasso on this blade. So I'll use my representative, my Bowie knife. I'm going to have a ricasso, which is this flat section here. Now I could cut that in before I start forging the bevels, but if I cut this down before and then overstrike and accidentally cut into it with my hammer, then I've completely screwed it and I kind of basically have to go back to the drawing board. Whereas if I forge my bevels first and then cut in my ricasso, I can guarantee that I have a ricasso before the blade bevels. The obvious that this blade has a distal taper. It's thicker here than it is at the point. The reason for that is because it makes it nice and light, makes it nice and whippy, makes it easy to handle. So when you have a nice distal taper, sometimes you want to forge that distal taper in before you forge your bevel so that you can get an even distant taper. Why I don't want to do that is because as I forge the bevels, the blade is going to bend. It's going to bow like a banana. And in order to bring it back, I can do two things. I can whack it on the anvil, whack forge it, but it's so heavy and that, you know, it's welded to that piece of rebar, that if that weld gives way, I fling it across the workshop, potentially burn the workshop down, so I don't want to do that. I could put it spine down on the anvil and whack it with a wooden mallet, but it's such a heavy piece of material that it would take a lot of work to do that. Whereas if I bevel the back edge and bring that back down to make that distal taper after I beveled it, that's going to naturally straighten it out. So that's why I've left it even thickness along the whole length of the blade. Yeah, we don't, it's not a national law. Yeah, it's not a national law, but New South Wales and Victoria do not have, it's nothing, you can't carry, you can't own anything that's classified as a zombie weapon. That's not here for WA yet, but yeah, New South Wales and Victoria have zombie knife laws. So you can, you know, according to the law, I could carry my Bowie knife around the street if I wanted to, but I'd have to be able to give a good reason for owning it or having it on me at the time. There's only one difference to that, and in WA, if you want to carry a knife, you can carry a Swiss Army knife anytime, because Swiss Army knives can be carried for the purposes of utility. There's no addendum to that. So if you want to carry a knife in WA, I suggest you carry a Swiss Army knife because you can carry it for the purpose of utility. But the thing is, the cops can still take it off you if they deem it unreasonable, and then you could argue it in court and get the knife back, but they'll still take it off you. The whole idea is, I mean, I carry a pocket knife every day. I've always had a pocket knife on me, but I don't worry about the cop. If they stopped me, they would take the knife off me and I'd probably never see it again. Yeah, file seal makes a good knife. Up to and including, so that would be nice. I'd love to be able to do that. Selecting my blade level length, and then we're going to get started for the levels. So as you can see, I've cut in the start of my bevel. This handle's getting a bit bloody hot. my spikes. That's terrible. I could send you some. I've got a few. I only got 2 5-gallon bottles. Wow, you're running low, mate. As you saw, I managed to get a lot of material moved on the edge of that Bowie knife just with my English cutlass hammer. Because of, well, mainly because of accuracy, but also because of that smaller face for the heavy hammer. So I'm bringing the bevels about 2/3 of the way up the material, leaving that back material alone. And I also want to be able to distally taper this later. Guess how many are in the bucket? Yeah, that'd be cool. Not always true, Ben. A lot of our old railway system had railway spikes. So, what we do is, you know, the old railway has tons of spikes, and Australian spikes actually are larger than American spikes. But yeah, modern rail doesn't have them. Instead, we use railway clips. The thing with the dog's head, Brian, is that you're not forcing it all the way down. When you throw a dog's head hammer, you're not forcing it into the anvil, you're throwing it like a dart. You start from up here, throw it, and then from here you're not controlling it, it just lands. So they're actually quite easy on the wrist. When I have problems with my wrist in the workshop, even if I'm working on something else, if I start feeling a twinge in my wrist, I'll switch over to my dog's head to take the weight off. It's more in the elbow and shoulder. Well, that's true, Rob. Everything in Australia tries to kill you. The rule is in Australia, not everything can kill you, but everything wants to. Australia we have a lot of things that can't kill you, but it doesn't mean that they don't want to. Drop bears and hoop snakes, that's it, man. Your back's killing you, well, you know. That's because it's an Australian back. That's why my knee's killing me. So beveling big blades is a little bit different to beveling small blades, especially if the small blade has a width that is less than the face of your hammer. Because in the event of a blade having a width less than the face of your hammer, you don't have to move your hammer blows up the blade in height. Whereas with this big Bowie knife, I have to move my hammer blows up, but I'm not actually moving them up, I'm moving them down. What you'll notice is I'm starting to my hammer blows 2/3 of the way up the material and bringing them down towards the edge. Why I'm doing that is because I want to stretch that edge out and make the blade even wider. It's one of the things about Musso Bowies, it's not so much about the length, it's about the width. These things are serious choppers. So having that nice wide blade helps with chopping. So you want a nice wide blade on your Musso though. No way I'm going to the blade. Fair enough. Yeah, so the thing about making swords is that you're working on an entirely different scale to knives. Yeah, Brian, that's what they say. But yeah, so the big thing is that working with swords is an entirely different experience to working with knives, because you're working with length and width, rather than just width. On long daggers and stuff like that, you tend to have very thin or narrow blades. So when you're working with swords, it becomes a little bit of a different issue. And that's where it helps to work very, very small sections of the sword at a time, working from your heel all the way up to the tip, and then after that, doing your straightening processes, doing your organization. If you're interested in seeing me forge a sword, I forged out the entire sword on my live stream, the rasp sword. So if you want any tips on that, you can watch that. I know it's 4 hours long, but Only the first 2.5 hours of that are me forging. Hi, Amy. Now, width. There are blocks. That means that my bevels aren't even. If you start out with a perfectly flat, perfectly even thickness piece of material and forge bevels on it, and the bevels have humps in them, that means that your bevels are not even. A lot of people, what they'll end up doing is putting it on its spine and forging those bumps back in. That doesn't help you because your bevels are still uneven. So if you have a perfectly flat, perfectly even thickness piece of material and you forge bevels on it by forging more bevel. Hi, Victor. I'm thinking that's Spanish, but I can't read it, so... Yeah, the only time where that's not true is if you accidentally hit right on the edge of your bevel and squish out a bit of material. You'll be able to see that if you do that, but that's the only time where you'll create a hump without being able to fix it that well. But that's in that case, what you've done is taken that tiny little bit of edge and kind of smushed it out. And in that case, you've kind of stuffed it. You may as well just grind that off. Hopefully you've left enough thickness that you can do that. What time do I have? How much time do I have left, or what time is it? Well, as far as time infinite, I will just keep forging until this blade's done, because I'm not going to bother stopping halfway through. And it's 10 o'clock in the morning. That's 8%. 10:06. My clock is wrong. Sorry, Ben, but your clock is wrong. Yeah, right. There you go. Aha, I see. Well, I will endeavour to surprise you, Victor. So, as far as I was thinking of something, but I got completely distracted. What was it? It's completely That's what I was thinking of. There you go. Right. There are two reasons that you forge both sides of the bevel. Now, I know a lot of people will know that one of the reasons that we forge both sides of the bevel is that you don't always have the same angle to the anvil with your blade as you do with the angle to the hammer. So therefore, if you have your hammer coming in at this angle but your blade sitting slightly flatter to the anvil, you're going to end up with more bevel on one side than the other. So flipping it over tries to even that out. One of the other reasons is because even if you're using a relatively heavy hammer, a lot of the time you're not moving the center of the material, you're only moving the edges. If you ever forge a blade on one side and then look down the edge, along the edge of the blade, you'll notice that it's wider or higher on one side where you've been hammering than it is in the one that's been in contact with the anvil. The reason for that is because the hammer is pushing the material not only forward, but it's also pushing it outward, and it's pushing it only from one side. So if you've only forged the bevels from one side, you're going to end up with one side of the material pushing itself away from the other. And what that can do is induce twisting stress or bending stress on your blade, because one piece of material has had its blade forged out a little bit lighter, a little bit larger. Normalization normally takes care of that, but that's a really big idea to get rid of that nastiness, is to be able to forge both sides evenly. I've never been to Australia. I've never been to America. I've never left Australia, actually. Furthest I've been away from Australia was something like 50 kilometers, and that I went to Rottnest, and Rottnest is an island just off the coast of Perth, still technically Australia. Making sure I get even edge thickness. Yeah, sorry you had to go to South Australia, mate. It's terrible. One of the risks working such a wide blade is because my hammer face is slightly beveled. If I do too much hammering in the middle and not enough hammering to the edge, I ended up getting a little bit of a hollow almost in the middle of my blade, and that's not actually good for it. So make sure that you're getting a nice even bevel. Do the bigger gas bottles still ice over? Yes. Yes, they still ice over. It's just that they don't ice over half as fast. And they normally only ice over when they're running low on gas. Are you off, are you, Ben? Who's stop? you might have thought with the sharp edges on my, but that's the hammered side. That's the current anvil side, and you can see no hammer marks, no chop marks in the steel, and that's because that very slightly domed face. It's not super domed, but as I said, that very slightly domed face means you get a nice smooth surface finish on your blade. Yeah, I love my hammer. What's under my forge? What isn't under my forge? All of that steel right there is just random pieces of steel that have come out of the forge at one point or another, and I need to sort through them, but I have never done it. That's not entirely true, Peter. There's koalas in the zoos. Sorry, a ball peen hammer. I mean, ball peen hammers are completely different. Like, they have completely different uses because they've got quite an aggressive ball. I love kangaroo. They taste great. Organise a breakout better, eh? Section left, probably another 2 eggs, and we'll have the battle done. Well, you know where to order one, donut. Yeah. There are roos out there that are quite big. Shot a big red once that was about my height. I'm 6'4". Yeah, well, they're just T-Rex deers. That's all they are, Peter. T-Rex deer. Yeah. I was brushing it there was because I've been doing a lot of forge welding recently. There's quite a bit of borax in the bottom of the forge. Yeah, and lots of gooey, nasty liquid as well. I'll pass. Yeah, they can. Yeah, it's true. Very expensive to deliver to Chile. I don't know if it would be any more expensive to deliver to Chile than it would be to the USA. I've delivered to Mexico before. I think I've sent something to Brazil. That's pretty close-ish. They can be pretty angry, yeah. Yes, a Bowie indeed. Okay, now you can blame everyone who voted in the beginning. At the moment, it's looking more like a barong. Nice big scimitar-shaped blade. Shamshire. There's our banana, nice and sharp, hot banana. Just going to even out the bevel a little bit, and then we'll get on to straightening her out. Make the sound. Oh. magnets on the handle, but we're not going to. We're going to start creating our distal taper. Oh, have fun with that, Peter. My condolences to your knees. Hey, Cat. G'day. Well, that sucks, Rich. I'm still here for sure. Has anyone else lost the stream, or is it just Rich? Slowly work in that distal taper. Spinning wheel of death the whole time. Oh, great. See you, Monica. No, it sounds like my internet's being screwy. I might shift the stream. Don't cross the streams! Don't cross the streams! Woo! I might be fixed, maybe. Now it's already straighter than it was. I may be able to gently persuade it back into straightness with a wooden arm. That's it, Melvin. That's it. Some people use a baseball bat. I use a piece of 4x4. Hey, they remark, didn't you make yourself a wooden mallet a while back? Yes, yes I did. And it broke yesterday. That's it. Oh yeah, for sure. Double time to wood. Good for a lot of things. Not wishing I had it. Slightly less onerous. Yes, the blade is longer than my forge. Too sharp there. how you quickly fashion a plug. Potentially, Matt. Depends on how well your weld goes. See ya, Brian. That's what I did, Brian. That's what I did, Aaron, I should say. It worked. That's right, it worked. Stuff my edge a bit. A nice shaping sharp edge. That's why you shouldn't axe things on your anvil. Drop that tip a little bit more. Thanks, Ben. I could say I'll try. Starting to look like a big old mean Bowie. Yeah, it's 5160. I would love to be at quad state, Duncan, but we'll have to see. Finances have not been the greatest recently. I'm sad to say that I put up those blades that I finished recently to Etsy, and they haven't actually been touched. So if you're interested in owning a piece of Sandtown's history, there's several blades on my Etsy store right now. that are available for purchase. Alright, cheers Jared. Good luck on the demo, man. Good luck. I've got the point about where I want it. I can do a little bit of finagling afterwards, and now we want to work on this tang transition. Oh, that sucks, cat. Hope you feel better soon. Yeah, it's definitely a problem with propane and LPG. Get ice over. Alright. Away goes the couples hammer. Back goes the rounding hammer. Time for me to go beast mode again. cue of a welder's flash is to not look at the welder. Yeah, potatoes, boil and mash and stick it on a stew. Only a Sam can say that properly. Back in a second. Yeah, that happens, Victor. You just have to refresh whenever it drops out. Depends on your refractory, Matt. In my forge, never. My forge doesn't get that hot. I don't need it to run that hot, so I don't run it that hot. That's the beauty of the gas forge, is that you can tune it to whatever you want. I could leave that running all day with a piece of metal in it and it'd never melt. Yeah, those basic masks really don't help. Unless you get really good at kind of flipping it down and then starting the weld. Yeah, Duncan, I've done the same. I could refine it a bit more, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind that in to final shape. Starting to bring out the Sam Townsend about how an iron works. The other thing called. try drilling it. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you got to do. Got to show them who's boss. See, me, I've gone from melting steel to just belting the ever-loving heck out of it, and that tends to make it understand who's boss. You eventually graduate. So it might look like I haven't left a lot of material for my tang in the back of the Ricasso, but the thing is that at the end of the day, you're going to get a lot of material out of that tang. Bye, Victor. Thanks for coming. Now the end could be a problem. No, there you go. God, I made it big enough. Oh, mess. Whoops. Fair enough, don't it? Yeah, Matt, that tends to be the way it goes. Trial and error. Sorry you couldn't see that. I was concerned for a second that I might not be able to fit the blade through the opening on our guillotine tool here. I'm trying to find it without looking. But the opening is actually quite large on our guillotine tools. See, I'm kind of the opposite, Rich. I like working small pieces in a charcoal forge, but the moment I need to work a big piece, that beast right there does everything I need it to. Hey, Caitlin. The Samurai Sam was kind of at the beginning. That's nice, Aaron. In the dimensions, I believe... I'm not willing to stick my ruler in there right now. I can't remember. No, Jack. I live in the sky. So no, I don't live on large property. I'm actually in suburbia. My property is just under half an acre. So yeah, not even close. A Bowie knife for 5160. I use town water, Jack. Yeah, the lathe is gone. It's been gone for a long time. It's a leaf spring, but it's actually a leaf spring before it was a leaf spring. If you understand what that means. It's an offcut of a brand new leaf spring before it went on the car. Woo! Getting nice and warm in here. Oh, what is Alex want? Sorry, Duncan. Yeah, 5160 for big blades is correct. Yeah, 5160 is a great steel for swords. Actually, Mick's out today. He's out with a friend, so that's why he's not here. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I'll let him loose. I'll let him have his freedom. It's been a while since I've swung the hammer that hard. It's good to be able to get back to it. It's really nice to be able to give it some shit. Oh, have fun with that. Feather pattern is definitely very hard. And it's all a matter of practice, Rich. Hand-eye coordination. You will hydrate, you will drain, then you'll hydrate some more. Yeah, that's why I'm getting the press iron. They won't let me have a power hammer. I would love a power hammer, but they wouldn't let me have it. Yeah, I'm interested in seeing how that goes, Jared. The original design is the Musso Bowie, M-U-S-S-O Bowie. Like that. This one's going to be a little bit bigger. Hey, Curtis. Yeah, Cat, that's always a danger. That's why proper welding hoods have side protectors. I love mine. Yeah, so am I, Matt. I'm looking forward to seeing it too. Yeah, no, I haven't started yet. As I said, I was going to keep going until this blade is done. Not too far now, though. Yeah, I use a stick welder. I actually use a Unimig backpack welder. I'll try and lift it up on the camera. It's the ARC 170 DC inverter welder. It's literally, it's a backpack welder. It's light as. But with 170 amps, I can melt holes through half-inch plate. No way, no worries. So yeah, stick welders are definitely the way to go if you're looking for cheap. Don't cheap out on your helmet. This Techman helmet has served me for 5 years. No need to replace the battery over those 5 years. You can increase the sensitivity. It's there are controls in there for darkness and sensitivity. And this helmet only cost me 120 bucks. Like, they're not super expensive, but they're well worth it. Fair enough, Jared. Yeah, even the cheap auto dark helmets are pretty decent. straightening. I'm looking to get an oxypropane kit, but I don't have the money. Honestly, guys, I'm barely scraping by. If I'm being brutally honest, I'm doing not so well. Looking like a blade. Yeah, we're planning on getting some forge cast merch up pretty soon. We're just trying to work out the deals, and I'll have a Redbubble store pretty soon to sell merch. Just working out on designs, and I'm also going to have a website pretty soon. So I'll definitely have that up and running. As far as support goes, I'd like to thank, while I'm thinking of it, Rich, Jared, who are in the stream right now. You guys are fantastic. And, you know, all of my patrons are great guys. And you guys have honestly kept me alive these last couple of months. That Patreon payment has come through just at the right time to help me, you know, get meds and that kind of stuff, keep me on the right track. I know I've been saying I need to spend that Patreon money on stuff to improve the channel, but at this point, without that money, without that, you know, support, this channel wouldn't be running at all. So you guys are improving the channel by maintaining it at this stage. So yeah, thank you so much, especially Jared. I don't want to single him out just because, you know, of the money, but he's been a great support. So thank you so much, Jared, for all your support, man. I really do appreciate it. it. It's done. It is finished. Or at least the forging is. Whew! 2 hours and 20 minutes. Not bad. I think the last one took me about 5 hours, so it's a significant improvement. Let's bring it up for you guys to have a look. So there you go. Here's my plunge cut just in front of the ricasso. Nice even blade bevel. Relatively straight spines, a little bit of a curve up, which is good. This clip is not going to stay the same shape. I'm actually going to cut that clip in a little bit sharper with the grinder. I'm going to make that a little bit more swept like a standard Musso Bowie. It's below the center of the line, which is what I wanted because I wanted that chopper blade. With Bowies, it's interesting. The where the tip is denotes what it's for. A super high blade is more for slicing. A tip that is in the middle is more for stabbing, and then a tip that's down is for chopping, and that's what I like in my Musso Bowies. So yeah, for measurements, let me grab my ruler. I didn't measure the original bar, so I don't know exactly how far I drew this out. Must have been a bit of a way. But thank you very much. Donut, thank you, man. I really do appreciate it. But for measurements, from tip to ricasso is 12 inches. So the blade bevel length is 12 inches. From tip to shoulders, tang shoulders is 13.5 inches. And overall tang, from tip to the end of the tang is 18 inches. The blade width is 3 inches wide. So it's a 3-inch wide blade. It'll probably end up being a 2 3/4, or just a bit over 2 3/4. And the ricasso at the moment is 1 3/4 inches wide, and that'll probably end up becoming 1.5 inches wide when I remove some material from the spine and some from the bevel and some from the inside of the ricasso. So it is quite a chunky blade. And it's got that nice distal taper. It doesn't look as good because the spine of the tip is a little chunkier than I wanted it. I could forge on it, but that would drop that tip a little bit more, and that would just be a lot of finagling. I might go back and do it, or I can just grind it out, which I'm very inclined to do right now because I'm really tired. So at the ricasso, the tang shoulders, we should see a little bit more of a thickness. So yeah, it's 9 mil, so that's 5/8 of an inch. At the tip, we're at 4 mil. And at the spine, at the transition, we're at 6.5 mil. So she's still pretty chunky. She will get a little bit of removal. The edge was forged down to 3 mil thick, so it's about 1/8 of an inch thick at the edge, which is quite chunky. But with a 3-inch wide blade, it needs it. And this will get preliminary ground before heat treat, and then it'll be finished ground after heat treat. So yeah, it's going to be a nice big blade, and we'll just put it up against my wedding Bowie. Just get the sheath off, give it a wiggle. So there's my wedding Bowie. As you can see, she's a tiny touch longer in the blade, about 1.5 inches longer, maybe 2 inches longer, and she's a little bit wider. So she's going to be just a tiny bit bigger. But yeah, nice big blade. I like big blades. But yeah, thank you very much for those people who voted for Bowie knife. If you were one of the people who voted for cookery, then good news. Next weekend's video will be me forging a cookery. So if you're interested in seeing me forge a cookery, then make sure that you subscribe to the channel, and make sure that you hit that bell notification icon to be notified of when I upload a new video, because I will be going live every Saturday, and next Saturday I will be forging a kukri. So that will be fun. And I'm going to be using these live streams to be forging a lot of the blades that I'm going to be using, taking to knife shows and stuff like that. So I won't be doing the polls as much. I might be putting polls out for, which blade you want me to forge, but it won't be kind of a, I'll maybe be making hammers and stuff on live streams. It'll mostly be blade forging at this stage. I might do some forge welding, do some Damascus. That'll be fun. So if you're interested in that, feel free to leave it in the comments. For my live streams, but I'm going to have to start using my time a little bit better with Knife Show next year coming up. I also want to get my full voting membership in the AKG. Shut up, Ben. And yeah, in order to get my full voting membership, I have to make 3 blades and stuff like that. So there might be some hand sanding streams on Saturdays as well. Especially with big blades like that, they take forever to hand sand. So yeah, no, I really do appreciate your guys' support. I don't talk about my woes to get you to donate to me. I do appreciate it, but that is not my intention. The Australian Knife Makers Guild, Caitlin. But yeah, so I don't talk about my woes to get you guys to sympathize with me or anything like that. It is purely just to let you know where I'm at. If anything, it's purely just a notification. Thanks, Kat. It's just to let you guys know where I'm at here. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I wish I could do for the channel. There's a lot of things I wish I could do for the community, but I'm kind of limited by the time that I have given to me. So we will see. See you later, Jared. Thanks for checking in, mate. But yeah, so we will see what happens. Next weekend, as I said, will be me forging a kukri. This week's Wednesday video will be an actual forging video. It'll be actually me making something, so look out for that. Thanks for checking in, Aaron. Thanks, Caitlin. We've got so many people lined up at the moment. It's a bit crazy. We're trying to get through them. Actually, the latest episode of the Forgecast, myself and Neil Zugrin talked about what got us into blacksmithing, what effect the blacksmithing community has had on us. If you haven't listened to that episode yet, I would highly recommend it. It actually was a really, really good episode. I really enjoyed making that episode, talking about the impact that blacksmithing and forging itself has had on me. And next week's episode is going to be fantastic. We had Peter Burt, the Woots master himself, on the show. So he and I had a fantastic conversation. Nils was there as well. Unfortunately, Alex wasn't able to make it again. But yeah, so we had a fantastic conversation with Peter Burt about what goes into making woots and his experiences. He's been forging for, almost as long as I've been alive. So, he's a fantastic guy, and it was great to be able to talk to him. So check the Forgecast out on Spotify and iTunes. As I said, we will have Forgecast merch coming up really soon. So yeah, keep your eyes out for that on the Forgecast and Instagram. Lots of things to do. Not a lot of time to do them in, but yeah, I really do appreciate you guys coming along with this experience here today. Hope you enjoyed it. I know it was a bit of a long one, but glad you guys could come out and share it with me. With that being said, I'm going to jump off. I'm going to go have some lunch. Hope you have a fantastic week, and I will see you on Wednesday in my next video. Cheers, guys.